Hello and welcome to another NinjaBill and Friends, and I am joined tonight with my co-host, Roland Redneck Reviews. Roland Redneck Reviews.
That's
Yeah.
your cue, buddy. That's your cue to introduce yourself.
Hi, I'm AC, aka Triple R.
There you go, and Crimson Raptors.
That's me.
I was wondering for a moment. And Input.
It's me. It's me. It's DDP.
I thought it was somebody else.
I want to quick welcome those of you joining in the stream. Hida Tarasi, Master Far, Jay, everybody, welcome to the show. And I think we have a pretty decent show. I'm not going to really cover the news because, my gosh, were they thorough last night in the Tales from Teletran podcast last night. If you didn't catch it, I suggest you go back to Input's channel and watch it because it was great. There's Soul Miss 44, and he said he's joining right now. I don't see him. Does anybody see him? Is he a ninja like me? Only a little bit better at it?
Well, we won't see him backstage, but you will.
Yeah. What was I talking about? Oh, yes. So, real quick, we'll do a round of what's new. So, Crimson Raptors lead the way, and everybody get some popcorn and a drink because this might take a bit.
not this week.
30
what's
minutes
new?
later.
I got
Yesterday.
collection. Jurassic World. An Amber Collection Jurassic World, which those are like the 1/12 scale, so they're like 6-inch tall raptors that would work with Marvel Legends, with your wrestling figures, anything and everything like that. And this is the Velociraptor Charlie is what I got. It is incredible. Highly recommend it. Super posable. Definitely going to be getting this in some kind of animation. I don't know yet. I don't know. I may just end up customizing it and using that or something. But I kind of like the whole face. The sculpts are really good. But there is supposedly they're going to be doing, they've made the regular Jurassic Park Raptors, so the dark brown ones that could be customized into a Dinobot beast mode, hint, hint. There's also the Velociraptor Blue from Jurassic World, and then there's Velociraptor Charlie, which is the green one with some striping on it. So I'm hoping they make the Lost World, because that's the Tiger Raptors. That I would want several of, because these are really, really awesome to pose. Also got, I don't know what else I got. Oh, that TF Safari. Basically, it's like an upscale DX9 cup that's been repainted and remolded and retooled into Orion packs. Pack Fan Toys, I think, is who makes it. I got a whole bunch of upgrade kits. Let's see if I remember them all. There's ratchet fillers, siege ratchet fillers. There's the weapon set for Earthrise Wheeljack. There's upgrade shoulder launcher, missile launchers, and filler parts for Siege Hound, and other stuff that I can't remember at this time. But something exclusive to you, Ninja Bill, because I forgot this last night, was I got the Jurassic World Fallen Kingdom, I guess it's Primal Attack, Jurassic World Primal Attack Tarbosaurus, as well as a Wheatley, which he's the character who, if everybody's seen that movie, he's a character that pulls the tooth out of the Stegosaurus and while it's still alive. That's a pretty messed up scene. But I also found for the first time in store the Maisie and the Tyrannosaurus Rex skull. So I'll show kind of like a little video of like what that figure looks like. So if you see here, Maisie, she's the little girl that's in the movie, and it comes with a little teeny tiny little like choking hazard T-Rex, and then the skull that you can use as like a diorama kind of deal. This is the first time I've ever seen her in stores, and she was like supposedly released like a freaking year ago. So I already bought her, but I bought her at a premium price from Amazon because they weren't charging the normal $7.99. They were charging like $13 or something. Just like double it just for whatever reason. And then I also had clear on that too, and they said, okay, guess what? You're not gonna, we can't get that clear, but we can get you the Maisie or whatnot. Or maybe this is the first time I've had her. Now I'm trying to confuse. Like, because I wanted to get a double in order to open it, but I don't know. Maybe I'm remembering that story wrong. But anyway, first time I'm seeing her in stores. So that I now have all of the human figures from Jurassic World. That's a big deal because a lot of people do not have her and they don't have Claire, and people are still looking for them out there.
I definitely don't have any of them. That said, I'm not collecting them. So
Yeah, they're cool. They're not like a 25th anniversary and up Jurassic. They're not like 25th anniversary G.I. Joe and up type of articulation. They're pretty basic. Think of like the Super 7. What you call them? The Stranger Things, like those kids, those little figures that come like that. They don't have wrist swivel. They have head swivel. So some of them have knee articulation. It just depends on the figure. Like Maisie has she looks like she's probably about a 5 points articulation kind of person, and Wheatley has 7, 8, 9, 10, probably 10 points of articulation. I don't think the boots swivel. So, but that's kind of the articulation you're getting there. I wish this was something that you could have 25th anniversary G.I. Joe articulation. That would be incredible. But all that is made up for in the Amber Collection Raptors. So I'm glad they know where the money goes to as the dinosaurs. Yep.
well, what happened to Triple R? There he is. Nope, there he is.
He disappeared. Oh, there he is again.
There he is.
Hey, Solmus isn't here though.
So,
Yeah.
anything else, Crimson, or are we going to move on to input?
Yeah, you did. That's it.
No, okay. Input.
Guys, I think I'm going to have to drop out. My connection keeps going in and out real bad. I don't know why.
Okay.
Oh, okay. Well, that's sad and unfortunate. And I was quite enjoying having almost the entire cast of Teletran, Tales from Teletran, on my show for a change. That was quite the thrill. Anyway, okay, Triple R, you take it easy, and by all means, stay in chat if possible.
I'll do that.
The Raptor is sad.
Womp,
Yes.
womp.
You're up next. Go right ahead.
Well,
And
don't
introduce
worry.
yourself while you're at it.
Don't worry, Crimson. Chris Pratt will fix that Raptor right up. So, for those of you guys who don't know, my name is Input. That's N-PUT, and I have a YouTube channel where we have a podcast that NinjaBill co-hosts with us sometimes, every now and then, maybe a few days every month or so. You know, he pops in and says hi. But if you guys are interested in the podcast, it's over on my channel. That's Input. That's N-PUT, every Saturday night from 7 to 9 p.m. Central Standard Time. Is that about right? Is that about right, NinjaBill?
That sounds good to me.
Oh, okay. And then you guys can also find me on Twitter, which is never used, like at all, hardly ever. And Instagram.
Raise your hand. You're not the only one. Well, you can't see us, but trust me, we're all raising our hands here.
Right?
And you guys can find me on Instagram, and the name is Ernest P. World, just like the guy who saved Halloween with a bottle of Miak, and that's milk for you guys who haven't seen the movie, which is highly wrong if you haven't. You should check out that movie, Ernest Saves Halloween. Yeah. So I picked up two things this week. I got which last night I said Universe Air Razor, which was a mistake. It is actually Energon Air Razor.
I know there's called you on it, surprisingly.
I know, right? And I also got Armada Thrust, which for the longest time I didn't have complete. He's always been missing his minicon, his missiles, and stuff, and I found one complete for $15. So I said, screw it, I'm going to jump on that one and have the complete one. Instead of buying parts to complete my old one, I just bought one. I bought a complete one.
Nice. I've always had a complete one, and then I customized him into G1 colors.
Oh, nice. Yeah, I think I'm gonna have like maybe a stop motion thing in the future. One can be like a battle damaged one. I think my original one, I'll swap the parts over that need to be swapped, and then the one that I got will end up being a battle damaged one. Also, so I figured this coming week, that looks really good, NinjaBill.
Yeah.
This coming week, I normally do reviews on Wednesday or Thursday. Kind of depends on the filming schedule of the day, if I have anything else going on that day or whatever. But this week I am aiming for Thursday for the first episode of my stop motion series to air. I will be doing a premiere on that. It'll be my first premiere on the channel. So there is that. I don't want to spoil anything for anybody, but just go over to the channel, check it out. It'll be a premiere. So I'm aiming for maybe 6 or 7 o'clock. It's only going to be about maybe 5 to 6 minutes long, typical stop motion, YouTube stop motion length.
Awesome.
So that's coming up. Instead of a toy review this week, it will be the first episode of my stop motion series, which Crimson Raptors is in, and a few other people I have had kind of work on it with me, not animator wise, but like voice actors and special effects artists and stuff like that have helped me out with this one. So
It's going to be cool. From what I've seen, it's going to be cool.
Soulman 40 more. Soulman 44.
Yeah.
Introduce yourself. Tell us, everybody, where to find you and what's new with you.
I'm Soulman44. I do Transformers reviews on YouTube. You can find me on Instagram, same name. I'm like 2 away from 200 subscribers, and then tomorrow on every Monday from 3 to 4 p.m. Pacific Coast time is a community for all of us on my channel.
Nice.
We're doing movies, Transformers news, and other stuff.
Awesome. So, anything new?
No, actually, it should. I got a package coming in maybe Tuesday or Wednesday this week.
Cool.
Yeah.
Anywhere else people can find you?
Well, just Instagram, Facebook, and here on YouTube.
Nice. Cool. So, of course, I am NinjaBill. You can find me on Twitter, although much like Input, I barely even recognize it's there. You can also find me on Facebook at Shinobi Biru, and obviously YouTube at NinjaBill 1000, and Discord is NinjaBill on Discord. And I got a lot of new things. Let's see here. I picked up Hammerbite, and I gave him Deluxe Shockwave's rifle because he didn't come with any accessories, and he's pretty cool. And he has this nice gimmick that I actually really like. And now he's got a shark head.
Yeah.
Now he's got a shark head. I don't know why, but I love that. And it's an arm activated gimmick. You use his arm to activate it. So pretty cool. Picked up him. Of course, I got Shockwave. Obvious. I mean, it's Shockwave. I love Shockwave. I also got Prime, who is a really cool figure. I gotta admit, I like this Prime a lot.
Yeah,
I quite enjoy it. Also picked up Megatron. Picked up Meg. Old Megsy here. But mine has a QC issue. This shoulder here is floppy. The pin is really loose, and there's no way to really fix that. So, I mean...
Is that the tank tread that's floppy?
Yeah, the rear tank tread on the shoulder.
Okay.
It's no way to really fix that. But that's the only real problem. And then I picked up Grimlock. And I gotta tell you, I love this guy. I love it. I love his transformation. It's pretty unique to a Grimlock toy. So I really dig it. I like it a lot. I love his little crown. I love his little crown. He could either wear it on this head or on his dino head.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool. Yep, I saw Bumblebee and Hot Rod, but I didn't pick them up. I might still. I don't know. But yeah, so I picked those up, and I've got supposedly I got an email from BBTS saying that my RC Cyberverse RC is going to be shipping soon, but it's BBTS, and we all know BBTS isn't so what's the word I want to use here? Speedy with their delivery.
Well, I'll say this about BBTS. If you have something pre-ordered, they do ship out fairly quickly versus if you just order something.
Yeah, mine is pre-ordered, but I don't know. So,
Do you have it going to your pile of loot, or do you have it to ship to you right away?
ship to me right away because I want her in hand and I want to review her.
Yeah, they'll ship that out pretty quick. It's like I would say, I posted or mentioned it the other day. Like, I got my BBTS shipment. It was shipped out on the Friday. Let's say the Friday before I asked for it, and then all my pile of loot stuff. And then Monday, June 1st, they shipped it, and I had it Wednesday, June 3rd, in hand. And so I don't know if they're just avoiding areas that were rioting and stuff. So they just were just like, hey, we're just going to ship it straight to Crimson Raptors.
Yeah, I don't know that I opted for standard shipping on my Earthrise, which doesn't come out till July, and my Cyberverse, which is they say is going to be shipping soon. Which either way is really nice, and I'm really looking forward to that Cyberverse RC because man, oh man, she looks probably the best of the two figures in my opinion from the images I've seen. Of course, we'll see what happens when I get it in hand, but I'm really excited for it. Really excited. I'm not. I don't really care for the Build-A-Figure, but now that I've gotten 4 of those, and I'm thinking to myself, well, maybe I just should go all in and try to get the others as well. And that way I can have it.
Right. Well, absolutely. Well, I just want to say to Devasia, it's okay, man. If your computer's having issues and you got to kind of dart in and out, no worries on that one. Jay Holler in chat says, Grimlock is a good complex transformation for a Cyberverse figure. I absolutely agree with that. The lower half, because I have that same figure, the lower half threw me completely off because I was so used to Grimlock's transformation style. The legs become the tail, it flips around, and then you got a Grimlock. That's not the case with that figure at all.
Nope, not at all. Not at all. Yeah. It almost threw me too because I had to fumble with it for quite a few minutes. I was like, okay, wait a minute, because I didn't look at the instructions. I mean, who does? Even though they're conveniently right there, but no, we're just going to completely ignore them and figure this shit out. That's exactly what I did, and I love it. It's unique. I probably won't show it off in my review, but it is definitely unique for a Grimlock boy how he transforms, and that's one other reason why I like this figure so much. I just do. He's just a fun Grimlock.
Yeah, no, he really is. Go ahead, NinjaBill.
No, you go ahead. I was pretty much done.
Oh, I was just gonna say that if you guys do get the figure, be aware that the feet, the way it transforms, can only go in one way. So the feet can't go opposite, right? So the way it transforms and everything. I don't want to spoil the transformation or anything. I'm just giving you guys a heads up, a little bit of a tip that the feet can only go one way. So if you think that if it's not going together, just reverse what you got and it might go together. So Jay Holler says it almost took him an hour to transform Grimlock. I'm right there with you, man. For sure.
Yeah. Here's a hint. One side has a tab slot. The other does not for a specific reason. I
had more issues transforming.
That's your hint. That tab slot right there is your hint.
Yeah, I had more issues I say issues not in a bad way, but I have more issues transforming that figure than I have any third party or masterpiece figure.
He was fun. I definitely spent a few minutes going, what the hell am I doing wrong? Because, but yeah, it only goes one way. It only goes one way.
Yeah.
He says almost an hour. It's believable. It's believable.
Hita in chat says he's gonna end up customizing McAdam into through Adams. That's awesome, man. I say go for it. That'd be hilarious.
Yeah.
I'm still surprised we haven't seen
Yeah,
anybody make like a Shapeways or some 3D printable file for just making it McAdams rather than having to spend like $200 plus for a Build-A-Figure, or even try to figure out a transformation scheme for him.
In all honesty, when I get that McAdams figure, I don't know what I'm gonna do with it because I have most of it right now, and it doesn't. It's basically living up to the Hasbro stereotype of like low quality plastic, if that makes sense.
Is that the printable stuff that's on him?
What do you mean?
Like, is it that 3D printable plastic that's on him, or
no?
Didn't he say something fifth or whatever have that?
Yeah, Shockwave looks like he had parts that might be resin printed or 3D printed. Yeah, but his plastic is super thin and light. The McAdams one so far.
I might disagree with you on the Shockwave. He looks like injected plastic to me.
I was looking at his hands. Like I was getting really close into his hands. When I reviewed him, that's what I was talking about.
Huh.
Mainly his fist area. Hold on, let me pull mine down, and let me figure out. Let me remember what I was talking about real quick.
Well, maybe his feet, his fist, his where the feet are, the feet. Maybe, kind of, maybe.
Okay, so looking at him now, I don't think it's necessarily 3D printed plastic. It is definitely a different type of plastic for sure. And honestly, it could be.
Mm-hmm.
It is definitely. It's injected, but it's just got like that rough kind of 3D plastic feel to it on the hands. On his fist. Yeah, so if you look at his fist. Yeah. So it's kind of weird. I did do a live review of this guy, and I did go over that. So I still love the figure. I think he's super cool. Now here's my question, NinjaBill. Does yours have the problem where his head doesn't want to go into his chest, or the chest piece doesn't want to fold over for transformation properly?
Well, here's the thing with mine. You have to actually, when you fold the ears back, right? So I'll do this here on screen. You fold the ears back as far as they will go, but don't force them. Then you got to pull up on the chest to untab it, right? To untab it, you pull it up. If I can get it to go, and then you got to pull out and up.
Okay.
Because it actually extends up. See, that's the down position right there. That's the up position. See it? Down, up.
Okay, and it does
down, up. It's not.
I was gonna say it's not much, is it? Because
it's not much, but it's enough clearance, and I'll show you. Try to get it real good. That is the down. Did you see that?
Yeah, I just did it on mine.
And there's the up position. You can. Yep.
Okay.
And there's not much clearance, but it's there. Yep. And I thought it was pretty cool, clever how they did that. Because you have, if you're not looking for it, you'll miss it. You'll definitely miss it. I want McAdam. I don't want the 8 figs it takes to build them.
Yeah, that's the same what Devasian and
what were you saying,
said as well. Yeah, that's the same for me too. Is I don't want the McAdams, but I don't really want anything else around it. Although I'm curious of the Thunder Howl. I do want to look. get that, and I may end up getting that one. But
I do too.
That said,
I'm curious.
I just kind of like random characters like that, like just extra little bots to fill out here and there in certain scenes or a display or something like that. It's always kind of cool to have something a little bit new, not always the same iconic 6 all the time. But one thing I was going to say is I'm probably about to forget it because I just had it on the tip of my tongue and now I forgot what it was. Oh well. Oh, I know what it was. I was going to say the 3D printed stuff. It doesn't necessarily, when we're talking about that, and people in the audience too, it doesn't necessarily mean it's always going to have that 3D printed texture, because every printer is different, especially stuff that you get like from Shapeways, which is more professionally like cleaned and stuff like that. Even resin printers, that stuff is smoother, has more detail and things. Not necessarily needed resin printers for Cyberverse, the deluxe ones, but also that it's a plant-based plastic, right? So we're looking at longevity over time that breaking down, unlike die-cast or the plastics ABS and PLA that we normally see all the time. So that's where we're talking about the 3D printing plastic. If people were curious.
Yeah, definitely. Jay Holler in chat says doesn't.
So Solman, have you played any?
You cut out, NinjaBill. What were you saying?
Yeah, you were cutting out when you were talking.
Sorry. Go ahead, guys.
I was saying Jay Holler in chat says isn't there a third party that has a Build-A-Figure Starscream that actually transforms? I don't know. I don't know if it transforms, but there is it's a movie. It's a Bayverse figure.
Sorry, well, that's the company because they're doing the last night figures, like the Bulldog and then that Bumblebee.
Yeah,
it's Toy World that's doing it.
Does it transform? I don't think it transforms.
Thanks. We haven't seen the full body yet, or we only seen like 2 parts of the robot. That's it.
So it's not even done yet. Okay. Because I remember they announced that last year, and they were seemed like they were going at a pretty steady pace with it. But when it comes to Bayformer stuff, I'm kind of I won't say blinded, but I don't pay attention to it as much as everything else.
And that's okay.
Yeah.
And that's okay. So, Soulmist, have you purchased any of the Cyberverse Deluxe figures?
No, I haven't.
Not in your wheelhouse?
No, I just have other figures, more different transformations, so.
Mm-hmm. No, that's cool. That's cool. I was just wondering. You hadn't chimed in on any of these deluxe figures, and I was wondering. So, because some people, it's just not their bag, and that's cool, man. That is absolutely cool. That is absolutely cool. But I dig that Shockwave, and I'm glad I could help you out, Input, because a lot of people I noticed it's not in the instructions. It's not.
No, it's not. And the thing is and unfortunately, so you do have to pull up a little bit, but unfortunately on mine, I didn't know that, and it's not in the instructions. So now I have some stress marks right where his head goes like through that opening. So it's okay. It's not broken. It's nothing a little heat can't fix, but definitely. But I do appreciate it, NinjaBill. I really do. Jay Holler in chat wants to know what's everybody's beef with Bayformers. I don't have a beef. My only beef with the Michael Bay movies, truthfully, is The Last Night. I went into that movie very open-minded, just kind of like I did the other ones, and I don't have an issue with any of the other Bayformer movies. I actually enjoy all of them except for The Last Night. I think The Last Night is just steamy pile of trash. It's just bad. It's just a bad movie all the way around. That's my only beef with it, or with the Bayformers in general.
You know what's funny about that is that I like the trailer for The Last Night. Looks really fun and exciting, but I've not seen it. But everybody tells me it's a complete waste of time.
No, it absolutely is.
Yeah, it is.
I bought that movie from Target. I bought the Target exclusive that has Combiner Wars on a disc. And it was a bad move. Because in my mind, I was like, well, hey, if the movie sucks, I have Combiner Wars, a physical copy of Combiner Wars. And that just wasn't a good idea.
Yeah, I don't understand why they
Now, see,
didn't have Combiner Wars released as its own little kind of set. That had to have been some kind of machinima agreement or something that didn't work well.
Yeah, that's definitely my thought process, considering, Machinima did the 3 and then they're pretty much over and done with at that point.
yeah, look, I enjoy them for what they are. I'm one of those people. They are what they are. Nothing we can do to change them now. All right, we can't change the past. Good luck trying. To all those who think you can, good luck with that, because what's done is done, and the only thing you can do is either you enjoy it or you hate it, and the hate takes too much energy.
Absolutely.
Takes too damn much energy. So, I'm one of those that, okay, if you don't like it, awesome. If you do, awesome. I like some of the toys. I'm telling you that Voyager Megatron is probably one of my favorite movie figures of all time. Easily one of my favorite movie line figures. Easily. This Megatron is just cool. He looks good in robot mode. He looks great in his alt mode. Mine's obviously a custom with paintwork here and there, but this is easily one of my favorite figures. And regardless of how I feel about the movie, I love this toy. And again, like I said, one of my favorites. So, that's pretty much me on how I feel about it.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, if you like it, that's awesome. The more power to you, Here's the thing, opinions are like assholes. Everybody's got one, right? So
there you go. There you go. Let's see here. Hita says, I dislike Bayformers now, but not always. But I have nothing against any of its fans. Not at all. It's just not my thing anymore. Yeah, it's not your bag.
Yeah.
It's not. I mean,
yeah, I don't think any of us are against any of the fans at all. It's just not their kind of cup of tea. It's like some people like green tea, some people like boba tea, but very rarely do you find people that like both. So, but I like how Haida says Bayformers is like my ex. That's pretty funny.
Well, and the thing too that that the Bayformers did too, it brought in a whole new world of fans to Transformers, and for that I absolutely am grateful, because it kind of kept Transformers going, right? So
yeah, I mean, it's debatable because classics did so well. It's just that it was a holdover until the movies were coming into play. I just wish Hasbro had more creative control. I think it would have been a different world.
See, the classics line didn't happen until after the 2007 movie.
Well, they had already had it tooled, though.
Yeah, this is true, but in a lot of ways, and it's debatable. You can argue for or against. Anyone can. It's debatable, but in my opinion, and I'm going to go with input on this one, it rejuvenated the franchise. It really did. In a lot of ways, the live action movies rejuvenated the franchise, not just in money, but in interest.
Yeah.
Okay, and that's what they were going for. You get an interest in a product, people will look for it. It's that simple. That's marketing 101. Generate interest. Okay?
So they did so.
And then
it did, yeah.
Absolutely.
But it didn't come out after
Danny,
the movie. It was before the movie. Because the classics line stopped until July, whenever the movie was coming out. So no, this classics was before, because that was the holdover until. That's why they didn't make a trailer for Prime, even though they had a deluxe sized version that would have had a trailer with it. They had a downscaled version. They just hadn't had the trailer tooled, and that's where they kind of stopped all that research. But no, it was before the movie. That's what I'm saying, is that it sold well, but they weren't going to make any more because the movie toys were hitting.
Yeah. You know, and now around where I am in my area here, you know, and they ran concurrently. So both lines
Right,
ran
right.
concurrently, still do, and to me they were no different. They were just at the same time, even though. See, I think the classics or chug line, as we like to call it, I think ran. I want to say what I want to say it was Wave 2. I think maybe Wave 1 or Wave 1 was still running at the same time as the movie came out, or Wave 2, I think. Somewhere, I could be wrong though.
That's because of the distribution problems, right? You know, just the areas getting stuff late and everything. But no, it was 2006 to 2007. So I think the TF Wiki mentions kind of when it was too. But the Cybertron line had sold really badly, and that's why Classics was kind of going back to more articulation, smaller toys, than less gimmicky, Cyber Planet keys, and because there's at the time like the Cybertron Transformers Cybertron, like those toys were expensive and they were kind of bricky, so that's why they were going toward that.
How dare you? How dare you, sir? How dare you?
Hey, those aren't my words. Those are what everybody else describes them are. And pretty much a lot of Cybertron figures I've gotten, they are pretty bricky, but they work well with Siege. They just don't have wrist articulation.
I'm just going to say the greatest figure of all time. Well, not all time, but the greatest figure of that line came out in that the Cybertron Optimus Prime is amazing.
Yep. It is amazing. Yep. It's right up there, in my opinion. One of my top 5 Optimus Primes, right up there with Super Fire Convoy, because man, that toy is amazing. I love it. I love it. Cybertron Prime, also really good. Both recolors. I think there was actually 3 different versions of it, though. Come to think about it.
And there was a blue one. There was the blue-headed one. I call blue-headed one because it's blue-headed. Yeah. There's the black-headed one that looks exactly like the first release, the blue-headed one, but it's just black, like a black head.
Uh-huh. Yep.
And I don't remember there being a third. I just remember those 2, and that's it.
Wasn't there I'm trying to think. I think there was a Japanese store exclusive one too, but I might be mistaken.
Well, if you guys ever need to know anything about Transformer figures at all, tfu.info is your friend. So,
true. He just said bricky is a good thing, and he's right. When it comes to Transformers, we all love solid, chunky bots, okay? We love the heft.
And then Jay Hollis says there's no fun playing with bricks. And hey to Danny Dolphin in the chat, too.
Yeah. And thank you, Danny, by the way. Thank you very much. Thank you. Yeah, I was just talking before the show with these guys that, I didn't even notice it. It was somebody else had to tell me that I had reached that point because I had no idea. I'm terrible at keeping track of that stuff. I'm like, okay, somebody subbed me. Awesome. And then I sort of just move on to the next thing, sort of like how we do when we collect Transformers. We buy one and then we're like, this is so cool, and we love playing with them, and then there's the next thing, and then there's the next thing and the next thing. That's us in a nutshell, right?
Yep. So I just looked it up. There's the black-headed version and then there's a blue-headed version. The black-headed version was okay. Let me slow down just a little bit, kind of. Right. So the blue-headed version, his arms and legs are blue along with his head. And then the black-headed version is called Galaxy Force Optimus Prime, and it's got a black head, and it's got the black arms and black legs. And he's got a lot more red on him. But yeah, those are the only 2.
Oh, okay. For some reason I kept... Oh, wait, you know what? I'm probably thinking about that little Legends size, Legion size toy or whatever the heck it was.
Yeah, definitely. So, they did a lot of those Legend class ones, especially.
I have, and I customized the Jetfire one to look with G1, because why not? So, real quick in the news, I saw some pretty cool stuff going on that I need to talk about because why not? If it pops up there, but they talked about this Guardian Bumblebee last night, and I said someone needs to buy this and send it to Kato because we all know how much he loves that Bumblebee. I mean, he adores it. I think he sleeps with the damn thing. I don't think his significant other likes him doing that, but there it is. So somebody needs to buy this for him and send it his way because he will adore you for it. Still, it looks pretty good though. I gotta admit, it does look pretty good.
Yeah, that's the thing is with that figure. Here's the thing I find with Zeta in general, with their Bumblebee. I hope they fixed all the QC issues with this one, but since Zeta doesn't really fix anything that they've QC issue wise that they're re-releasing from Toy World, I doubt this is going to have any kind of QC fix issue at all. So good luck not breaking this one as well, guys. But I do know what's really funny is so Deluxe Baldwin, his broke in a different area than Kato's did.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah.
So
because I think was Kato's was that in the arm or something? Or no, it was in the waist or something. And then Deluxe's was on the chest, like the hood part or whatever.
Yeah, I think Deluxe's hood just came off, right?
Yeah. He got a replacement part for it, though. He just can't be bothered to fix it. Do not blame him.
I don't blame him either.
Yeah. Then I saw this. Now, I already have the upgrade kit for that Adamantium Matrix sent me, but I got to tell you, I'd be down for this one too. A new arm, that would be nice. Because the hand that he comes with is so rubbery, and Input saw what I was doing with this one night during the stream. I was pretty much balling it up in my hand like it was Play-Doh. I mean, that's how bad it is.
Yeah.
It's horrible, but this looks like a really interesting and a good set, and I like that. I like that a lot. It has a lot of play value and posability value. So, especially in the hands, because wow, the hands on his is terrible, but still looks really cool.
Jay Holler in chat says he hears a lot about third-party figures breaking. They cost too much for figures to be that fragile. I disagree, or I don't disagree with that. I agree with that wholeheartedly. You're gonna spend 150, 300, or whatever. It better not break.
See, but even the Hasbro ones, I hear people having problems with that. Like Siege Ironhide is a good example of that. But it's more. It has more to do with the tolerances, and in addition to that, so tolerances like what piece fits into what. Like, is it too big? Is it not cleaned off enough? But also the types of plastic they use. With Pioneer, with that Zeta Pioneer, that's a very, very thin piece of plastic that they used for that chest area, and that was just an accident waiting to happen. I think there's a review of Earthrise Scorponok out there, and there's stress marks on the back of him, where there shouldn't be stress marks because that should not have either. It's not like a tightening issue. It's more of like trying to get less and less plastic out of certain things. Even Takara's Legends Cup, if those wrists can swivel in because that's how they were put in, but they're not supposed to swivel. So you can snap those wrists right off. I mean, there's issues all the way around, no matter whether it's third party, official, it doesn't matter whether it's 3D printed. I got stuff from Shapeways, which I just now realized I forgot to do a video on. I got that part, and those are 3D printed, and I got a part that was already broken before it got to me. And so it just depends on kind of like how thickness the plastic is based on its durability. And they replaced it, so no problem with Shapeways. But that's what I'm saying is that those are the kind of problems you run into, is that tolerances, the thinness, the type of plastic. And that's going to be all across the board. They can't go for every single different, what do you want to call it, like stress test on every piece.
Well,
they're basing it on their past of what they've run into.
Well, and here's the thing.
Sometimes they want you out, right?
Well, yeah, but here's the counter argument for that, right? If you spend $20 on Siege Ironhide and it breaks, you have that sucks moment. Well, shucks, right? And then you can go to the store, you can buy another one, or you can replace it right there and then. If you break your knee on MP44, that's some cursing. That's throwing it against the wall. That's your heart just fell out of your chest. You know what I mean?
Drive your Toyota into a wall because of it. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, it's relative, and I can see that comparison right there. But I can also see somebody who saved up their money. The Ironhide's their favorite character. They go and get that Ironhide, whether or not it's $20, whether it's $400, and it just breaks their heart that it broke. And they can't put it on their shelf because they know that every time they look at it, it's got a broken piece on it, right? Even though the people that come over and see it, if anybody does, they won't notice it. But then they go to the store to try to get it replaced, and they're saying, okay, we don't have this figure, it's out of stock. So now they have a distribution problem and a broken figure. Then they contact Hasbro, and Hasbro says, yeah, we don't have any of those, but you can send it to us, we'll destroy that one, and we'll send you one comparable, like another Prowl that you already have. So it's still kind of like that problem of like, you're still, it's almost like I get the monetary issue of it, and yes, that would be awful if MP44 broke on you the first time you have it out, but it's also more of like, it's still, you don't want that to happen on any figure, no matter the price.
No, absolutely not. You don't want a figure to break, and you don't want stress marks or anything else. Absolutely. But I feel like there's a threshold, right? Like $20, $30, I feel like might be pushing that threshold, to be honest. But $400, $450, $100, $150, there's a threshold of I guess like anger or tears even, as Heido put, I forgot to comment about the crying when you break a knee or something, right? But there's just like that threshold, and you got a kid that. And Jay Holler says it perfectly. It's much easier to replace a main line than a third party. And I definitely agree with that. Definitely agree with that. And I think the stress marks that you were talking about on that Scorponok, I think that's a factory reject figure that they let him take home. Because I don't. Come on, let's be honest. You're not going to sneak out of a factory with a Scorponok. You're not going to sneak out of a factory with a toddler, right? So I think that's just a factory reject type of situation. So I think, yeah, I think that's all it is.
Or purposely made to be a factory reject.
Yeah. Once again, I'm going to back input on this because I think he's right on the I know this is not an us versus them thing, Crimson, but I got to agree with input here. He makes a lot of damn sense. He makes a lot of sense.
I'm not anybody's side. I'm just saying, like, my deal from a collector point of view is that I don't want a broken figure in my collection. So it's like, even to me, it's like, my perspective is, well, I don't care how much it costs. Like, I just don't want that broken figure.
So, which brings me to sort of tonight's topic, by a long way around. The long way around is, what is your favorite iteration of a screen character in Transformers? And we'll start with input.
What is my favorite iteration of a screen Transformer?
Yeah, the one that's appeared in a series or in a movie.
So, I think, truthfully, if I have to, okay, I really honestly like, I'm gonna be a G1er on this one. Big surprise, right? But I really, really like the way that, and I'm gonna pick two. I'm gonna cheat. I really like the way that they handled. In the 86 movie, they handled Megatron, because for the first time, it's not fun and games. It's not a joke. All of those threats you see for 2 seasons, where he's just, I'll choke your life, Prime, or whatever. I'll kill you and stuff like that. You finally
And then-
see it, you know. You finally and you know, you could argue Starscream killed Brawn, Starscream killed Prowl, Starscream killed, you know, Ratchet, right? You can argue that, but when Ironhide is underneath him, you know, Megatron's just, you know, such heroic nonsense and just blows his head off. Like, that's just the way they handled that. And then the complete opposite of that in that movie, the way they handled Optimus Prime. You know, he's standing there when he first shows up on Earth, and he's got that it's like at a lower angle the camera is, and he's, you know, he's standing up, and he appears even bigger than what he normally would be from the cartoon. And he, you know, he hits that line, Megatron must be stopped no matter cost, transforms, drives off, and then he just starts wrecking shop. You finally get to see the badass that Optimus Prime, you know, led on that for 2 seasons. You know, like, Megatron, you can come at me, you can fight me, but I'm gonna beat the crap out. You know, all that talk is now over, right? I really love the way that those 2 characters were handled in that '86 movie. They weren't like out of character or anything. Prime was very stoic, very John Wayne, very heroic, and that was the counter to Megatron's dastardly death plot of evil and destruction and, you know, and everything.
Oh yeah, I can agree with that. I can see where you come from on that, because, you know, when you know, he's no matter the cost, and he transforms and he rolls not out, but out into every Decepticon that gets in his way. And, you know, first, boom, I think it was, who was it? It was either Thrust or Blitzwing that got it first. You could see him in his grill reflection, you know, as you hit him, bam, head on, just bam, and you see Thrust flying out of there, and he ain't coming back from that.
Yeah. And you know what? What I love about it is, you know, he's not pulling any punches in that. Like, when they cut to the camera angle of inside the truck, and Optimus Prime turns that wheel and he aims right for Blitzwing, like he's leaving no chances at all, you know.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a great, easily one of the best scenes, and there are a lot of best scenes in the movie. Let's be honest now. There are a lot of best scenes in the movie, okay? If we're going to get real. But that is one of my favorite moments, is when that shuttle finally lands and stops, and that door opens, and there's Optimus Prime, and he drives off, and then smash, hits Thrust. I mean, that's one of those moments that you're like, oh, hell yeah. Yeah. And then, you know, and Blitzwing tries to get out of the way, and he transforms and shoots Blitzwing down like he's nothing. And then he proceeds to, and he's just nothing's standing in my way sort of moment, you know. That should have been the song at that moment. Nothing's going to stand in my way. Not tonight. That should have been right there. That should have been the moment they played that song, because nothing was standing in Prime's way to getting Megatron.
It was crazy to see him just kind of go more or less like full auto on like Soundwave and Thundercracker and Skywarp. Like, I was like, dang, Prime. It's like, and so like, now I know there's like that the written part may or may not be a deleted scene, but where they had like where Prime's like, you know, he's up there like, one shall stand, one shall fall, and then Megatron says, you know, what he says, but then you see the next scene after that, Prime's getting back up to like the position where he was before, and that's because Dirge is supposed to pile drive Optimus Prime, and then dogpile Optimus Prime, and then Optimus Prime picks up Dirge and like pile drives himself head first, cone head first, into the ruins of Autobot City, and then his body falls over, and then he's getting back up. And so I've thought about that, and I just like, you know, I think whether it was animated or not, definitely animated the part of Optimus Prime getting back up. That's what we've always seen, but always wondered why. And it's like, I feel like sometimes those moments, even if it's in a script, it doesn't work well on screen, and it would interject that part, right? Because you just see the part where Prime rolls up, Megatron must be stopped, and then the next cutaway you see from that whole situation is, Hot Rod running up there like, I've got to save Prime. And that works well because you're focusing on Hot Rod there, and then you don't have to focus on the cutaways from anywhere else. Because there's also the Ultra Magnus, Red Alert tracks, and I think Sideswipe as well, where they're all firing at Devastator to make him blow apart. So that would have interrupted that scene too. So I like how everything just all works right there with the touch music going, and that is really, really, really awesome to portray Prime like that.
Oh yeah. So Crimson Raptors, what is your favorite iteration of an on-screen character?
So mine's got to be Grimlock, and it's not to be like biased because of dinosaurs, but man, Grimlock is just so much fun. And I get that, like in season 2, he gets a little smarter, so he's kind of dumbed down in the '86 movie again. But he definitely has that where he wants to munch metal. He doesn't want to get in the shuttle. He wants to help keep fighting the Decepticons. Grimlock is one of those, like, he's going to be there to the end. He's not retreating. In fact, I don't think we've ever seen any version of Grimlock where he retreats. I've never seen that in Cyberverse. I've never seen that in Age of Extinction. Captured in Age of Extinction, which that was probably when he was sleeping, was when Lockdown did that. But I've never seen like any of any kind of iteration where he retreats from a fight. Usually it's the Autobots are like, no, we gotta go, like, gotta get him out of here, and he just kind of goes along with it. I mean, Unicron shows up. He's just like, we gotta kick butt. Like, it's a planet-sized robot, not a single shred of fear. So I love him. I love Grimlock so much.
Oh, I mean, and justifiably so. Justifiably so. Danny says in chat, she said Unicron maybe. Jay said Beast Wars Dinobot, because you got to admit, one of the greatest scenes in Transformers history has got to be the death of Dinobot. He goes out like nobody's like ever has gone out before on screen. I mean, he is the very image of what a heroic soldier does.
Absolutely.
So, I mean,
and he's doing it for the right reasons, right? So he's got that. What is it? Adrenaline pumping, right? And he knocks off the safety things. He doesn't have Rat Trap or Rhinox holding him back, or Primal telling him what not to do. He single-handedly takes out all the Predacons, sans Megatron and I think Quick Strike. So,
and he's got he's got one of the most epic lines in Transformers history at that point. Megatron's got him beat, and he's, what could you possibly do to me? And he's just, improvise. And he makes that hammer, and he just beats the crap out with his makeshift hammer.
With a freaking stone and a piece of wood. I mean, he basically makes a stone hammer and just smash Megatron's teeth in. I mean, it was a great scene. One of the best ever. Like I said, one of the, there's a lot of deaths in Transformers history, and even with the Japanese series, there's been some pretty epic ones. But yeah, Dinobot's death has got to be right up there in the top. I mean, top 5 easily. Top 3.
I know his his toy wasn't on shelves anymore, and they were kind of focusing away to other characters and stuff. And of course, Scott McNeil, he wasn't going anywhere. He was voicing 3 other characters as well. So it wasn't like he was losing his job. But it's just like, what a great way to send out a really beloved character like that. Because then, like, if you already love Dinobot and then you see that scene or that whole episode, like, it just made it worth for you to really love that character and everything he tried to do and represent. From the very first time you see him, he's just like, destroy them, in the ship, and then he's in the shadows, and then when he walks out of the base, he's just like, no, like, this is not Earth, the planet's wrong, Megatron, you're an idiot, I challenge you to battle. And and to have that whole character arc now back to completely thwart Megatron's plans, It just that's what makes me want to have if anything, Beast Wars new. I would like to have a retelling of kind of like the theft of the golden disc. Yeah, there's a BotCon thing and the video that was made for it. That was not done as well as I think it should have been. But I would like that.
Sure. Somebody like, you two could, do your own stop motion version of that. I'm just saying. Put that up there. Little subtle hint.
You know what? Why don't we make it a running Raptors or a hidden Raptors production? How about that? And we could go in on like, a masterpiece Megatron and a masterpiece Dinobot and get all the figures that have these really, really good articulations. We can build our own sets and stuff. Yeah, I say do it. Let's go ham with it. Let's just fuck it up for everybody afterwards, right? Like,
see, I've actually have. It's funny you mention that. I do actually have episode. The whole reason why I got all those Beast Wars vanilla modes was because I was watching somebody who was called JP3, I think was his name. Had nothing to do with Jurassic Park, but he was another stop motion animator, and he made Beast Wars episodes with the figures that he had. And the majority of them were characters that were not in the show. And he gave them voices. He gave them, kind of based on the tech specs and stuff like that. And I was like, this is a really great idea. Now, of course, he's like in his couch and he's got like sheets that represent rocks and stuff like that. And that's awesome because the imagination was there because the writing was there. And if you have a pretty good story, then it doesn't matter if you see crumpled up paper or if you see a diorama set that took 17 hours to build. If your story is there, your animation, is there, then that stuff can just, fade away as like background stuff. That's how they did in Beast Wars, right? They focused all their textures and all their 3D polygon mapping and everything on the characters because that's why the terrain looks so awful in the back because the budget couldn't go out that far because they were focusing on the characters. Otherwise, they would make everything look mediocre. So, but his stuff is no longer online, unfortunately. But I was really inspired by him, and so I started writing like little scripts and little stories, and like, okay, here's season 1, and here's without the Planet Buster, with those last 3 episodes of season 1 tweaked to introduce new characters, put in a different ending for season 1, and then go off on that, introducing a bunch of Beast Wars characters, and for me, getting rid of pretty much everything Transmetal and Transmetal 2. Because I like the beast mode aspect, the fact that they have to say their names, the fact that they have a what is it called, an Achilles heel of having to transform back, so battle only lasts for so long. I kind of like that little aspect of it. I know it's not really, it wasn't liked at the time, and I don't know if it's still liked now, but like the whole reason why they said their names was because Kenner and Hasbro were like, well, they're not going to know who the characters are if they don't know what the name of, so that's why they're saying it every 3 seconds. But I kind of like that kind of mid-90s feel to that show. So I do actually have stuff set up for it. It's not a priority right now. Other things are dinosaur related, and Siege is kind of taking over a lot of things. So, but yeah, I would like a collaboration like that. It would be really cool.
Nice. As far as I'm concerned, one of it's pretty obvious. I have 2 as well. Shockwave and Ratchet. They're my favorite characters. But my favorite iteration of Shockwave, surprisingly, is going to be TF Prime Shockwave. Because he looked beefy. The voice actor, I think, nailed it. It just... Sure, it wasn't the G1, with a slight English accent, but, it's just, it's my favorite iteration. And I wish I had the toy. I don't wish I do had one of those Shockwaves from that line, but he's got to be my favorite because he was just like, at one point he was just about to murder Starscream, and then when Starscream, says, well, but without me doing this, you wouldn't have had. And he was like, okay, that's logical. So I won't murder you now. You know, and they're like, it's I don't know, and it's also not my favorite Ratchet, but he's up there. I think my favorite iteration of Ratchet is probably got to be G1 because I love the upbeat, jolly, Ratchet that in my mind he should always be. He's like this fun-loving go-getter. In the comic, he was like, "Hey, let's go party," he got hot dogs and wanted to roast them on the fire, and I'm not kidding. It's there. It's there. I think in the issue where he and Megatron make a bargain, and he goes out to Ratchet goes out and revives the Dinobots. He's roasting hot dogs. I mean,
what about what about Shockwave and animated? What's your thoughts of his portrayal in that series?
I'm not really a big fan of it. I had the toy and I actually gave it away. I just, I like that tank mode better than what we got now with him, the Walker tank thing, but I didn't care for the look of his character. He seemed lanky, too thin, I guess. I don't know. The proportions just seemed odd for a Shockwave to me. I'm not saying the toy was bad. It was a pretty good toy. But there again, the proportions seemed off to me. I don't know what it is. It didn't feel like Shockwave to me. I don't know how else to say it. I can't vocalize it.
Yeah, it's a different, really animated kind of did like a whole bunch of different kind of recharacterizations of personalities, and making him kind of like a deep cover double agent special ops kind of Shockwave was rather interesting. But I like I agree with you that, because you and I, we both love Shockwave as like one of our favorite Decepticons, and Shockwave's portrayal in Prime is done extremely well, and he gets far more screen time than he ever got in G1. But I like the G1 look, and I like that voice. But I love the development of that character in Transformers Prime with Shockwave. And it's sad that in the movies, like the live action movies, he didn't get to do more, because I feel like they could have given him more if they'd known how well he would have been in Prime.
Yeah, like that. The Dark Mount, when he says, "Oh, I'll go out and solve the problem." He jumps off a Dark Mount, and follows after a Wheeljack. He jumps down, and then boom, and they all turn around and see him there, and he just transforms in the tank and like, yep, I'm going to mess things up. And that's my Shockwave. Shockwave in the comic, especially in the comic, not in the cartoon. Shockwave in the comic, if he wanted to take over, he could do it, and easily. I mean, he whooped the shit out of Megatron in the comic. I mean, just whooped it. He thought it was logical that Megatron not be the leader anymore.
Right.
He did it. He just did it. He was like, okay, you know what? You don't suit the role anymore, so I'm going to whoop you. And then he did it. And then made him say, "Hail Shockwave," He made Megatron bend the knee. How often do you see that? When have you ever seen that outside of the comic? Never. No one makes Megatron bend the knee. Shockwave made him bend.
And the only way that Shockwave yield and bend the knee back to Megatron was Megatron beat him at his own game of logic. So,
yep.
Wouldn't that mean Megatron's smarter than Shockwave, or a better tactician?
Could be. Could be. I'm not saying he's as smart as, but it depends on the continuity and the writer. It really depends on who's writing him that day, I guess. Because let's face it, it just depends on the writing. I mean, that goes with any series, any character, really. It just goes, Huffer could be the next Megatron. It depends on the writer. Let's
That's
see
true.
here. Demetrius said you would like Call of the Future then, maybe. Call of the Future is, it's okay.
What's Call of the Future?
Yes, Demetrius, please. Illiterate. No. He's typing it out. We know he's typing out. Anyway, but yeah, so I think I loved Ratchet in the original cartoon and comics because he was so fun loving and jolly and he just wants to party. I mean, literally that was his thing, you know. Yeah, exactly. There you go. There was if you got, I'm trying to remember, I actually have the disc somewhere. Where do I have it? Oh, yes. It's talking about, he's talking about me dropping everything. That's what he's talking about. No, he's talking about this right here. If I get my camera to work again. Come on, camera. Boom. He's talking about this right here.
Oh, that game was terrible.
Oh, the Transformers yeah, the PS2 game. Yeah. The game looks great, but yeah, I agree with input. It was pretty terrible.
Yes. But this is what he's talking about. So, yeah. And yeah, it was pretty terrible. But for its time, the CG was pretty good.
No, absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, I'd argue the CG still holds up today. Probably not as good as it once did, but I would still argue it holds up.
I still think my favorite game, was on the PS2, had to have been that Ace Combat 4 Shattered Skies. That was pretty cool.
And Soulmiss44 asked me, what do you think of Transformers Energon Shock Blast, aka Shockwave? I enjoyed it. I never could find the toys, either Shock Blast or Shock what do they call him?
I think was the repeat, right? Never saw Shock Blast in the stores, but I saw Six Shot. Like, I wouldn't say shelf warming because there weren't that many of them, but like nobody seemed to buy the Six Shot. But everybody I knew wanted Shock Blast.
Yeah, I never saw either of them. Not either of them, and believe me, I looked. But yeah. I didn't care so much for the character's portrayal on screen, but the toy was pretty damn cool, and I wish I would have got it.
I like the satellite mode. That was kind of an interesting take on Shockwave.
Yeah. It's one of those things where Shockwave he's been pretty universal character-wise throughout most of the iterations, even into IDW. I say that as I shudder because I'm not now, if you are a big fan of the IDW books, by all means, please enjoy them. I, however, am not a fan of IDW's writing. I don't like how their idea of artistic license is, what's the character's name and what does he do? Fuck it, we don't care. Just the name. Everything else we'll make up as we go along. That's pretty much IDW's style on character bios. It's like everything that came before, fuck it, chuck it out the window. We'll just keep the name and run with it. Oh, and then the likeness a little bit. Yeah, just no. I'm not a big fan of IDW.
How do you really feel, Ninja?
IDW is Shockwave's fault, Division said.
It's only logical.
It's only logical. Let's see. Superlink Laser Wave was pretty good, fiddly, but his gun arm longer than he is tall. Okay. Yeah, well, again, I wish. See, it's like I still need to get the MP Shockwave, or at least a decent KO, the Kasatomi version. I love saying that name. It's just so hilarious to me, anyway. Never read the IDW comics. I have watched the YouTube videos of IDW. Soulmiss44 said, and awesome. I hope you enjoyed them. I did not. No, let me correct that. I picked up the All Hail Megatron series, and I enjoyed that. Okay, it was a pretty good. I picked up the Spotlight books; those were pretty good, decent. Everything
Mhm.
after that kind of went downhill, in my opinion. It went downhill, and I'm not talking about some of the stuff that happened. I'm not talking about, like the relationships between bots or anything like that. That doesn't bother me. I could care freaking less, okay? What bothers me is character portrayals where they take a known character, his existing traits, and then chuck it all out the window, seemingly for no other reason but artistic license.
Well, that's not okay. So, are you
IDW
talking
Star
more
Saber.
about like after? Yeah,
Thanks, man. How you gonna get me
Are
raging? Thanks.
Are you talking about more about like around the Dark Cybertron era in Phase 2, or beyond that after the a certain Decepticon
No,
becomes an Autobot, or
pretty much in general, everything after All Hail Megatron and the Spotlight books. Everything after that sucks, in my opinion.
yeah,
Oh,
I okay. So Phase 1 is really rough, and I finally got through it all. And I'm into Phase 2. I still haven't read anything past Dark Cybertron. But that being said, there is stuff in there that is kind of they've taken characters that had really next to no characterization outside of the comics and given them more personality. Now, other things they've changed for the worse. Like I don't like the character of Prowl being how he's portrayed in IDW. However, what other character could have been changed like that? And I would think the next one would have been Ultra Magnus, and I would not have wanted Ultra Magnus to be like the IDW Prowl, because I like both those characters. I like Prowl and Ultra Magnus, but Prowl's the only one that could make sense. So I don't know. It's different how they switch them around and stuff. The relationship thing doesn't bother me, but some of you're right, the character portrayals are kind of wonky. And it's like it's easier to bring in new characters and make them the wonky ones rather than take old characters and screw with them. But I know that around the time Combiner Wars was happening, when the comics changed for IDW, that's when they took all stories and they just threw everything out the window because Hasbro demanded it. When before they had pretty good freedom to do pretty much anything, but when Combiner Wars was the push, that's what started ruining some of those IDW comics. And as we would see later, they would stop altogether until the bold new era, or the boring new era, whatever people want to call it.
yeah, I'll go with that. The boring new era.
Exactly.
The oops, we made a mistake era.
Someone says eating cake while we talk about the IDW mistake. I'm a poet and didn't know it. Let's see. Hida says IDW Prowl is almost an Autobot Shockwave. Well,
I could see it like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't get it. According to his toy bio, he's like the strategic genius of geniuses, okay? And he can run, billions of calculations and do all this stuff, and Jetfire was supposedly this great scientist, and yet you really never saw that in the cartoon, ever. And you certainly didn't see that in the original Marvel run, the comics. You didn't. I'm not sure. I don't think he had much of a presence in the Marvel UK comics, come to think about it.
Well,
they never used anything scientist with him, and in the cartoon they couldn't use him because of the issues with Harmony Gold. But they just strictly made him our Air Guardian. So I was hoping we'd see something like that though in Cyberverse, but we were let down from that too.
Yeah. What were you saying, Input?
I was gonna say, as far as characterization goes, so here's I guess like a devil's advocate type of question, maybe, right? So when you read the back of the bio cards for the toys, a lot of the characterization for these guys didn't happen at all. Like they threw the characterization out the window. So from a child standpoint, say, let's go with a character that came late. Like you got I don't know. Say you've got like a Galvatron figure early, and then the movie didn't come out, and his characterization was not what was told to you, and so you go up and you see this characterization, and it's not what's on the back of your card, right? Why? I guess why doesn't something like that bother you, Ninja Bill? But them saying like an IDW, I don't know, like say Shockwave being a pacifist and an Autobot, right? If that happened, why would that bother you? But the toy bio Shockwave is a terrible example because the toy bio is pretty much Shockwave, right? So
Yeah,
but I'm just saying, like
straightforward all across.
the toy bio would be completely different than what a kid saw. But IDW, why does characterizations like that bother you if IDW or Dreamwave or Marvel, anybody else has their own idea or take on the character? Why does the IDW take bother you so much?
I don't know. I don't have an answer for that. It triggers me, but not in the literal triggered sense where a lot of people just start raging about things. Unlike Star Saber. Give me started. Thank you very much for mentioning it. Input.
No problem.
Yeah,
no problem.
Yeah, that was just the outright terrible iteration of Star Saber. I mean, from the get-go, like they should have given that to like freaking Zeta Prime or somebody that people could care less about. So.
Yeah,
I
agree.
Not the hero of Cybertron, not General Commander.
Right?
Yeah. I'm not sure. I don't know why, to be honest. It's like a gut reaction, type of deal. Like for example, Jazz. In the cartoon, he didn't seem like he is the Autobot's second in command, and yet he just did what everybody else told him to do.
That's true.
You know what I would have liked?
Peters would have came up and said, "Hey, Jazz, go over there and punch that wall." Jazz would have done it.
Yeah, but Jazz was so chill though. Jazz didn't care. Jazz was all like, just whoa, I don't care. I'm gonna go punch this wall.
Ow, that hurt. What Devastia says in the chat. He gets that. Legacy characters have a legacy for a reason, and it's hard to swallow when that gets so drastically altered. But sometimes it is good to shake things up, which I completely agree with. But he was saying that Star Saber, the ultimate good guy, that's kind of boring, and that's true. But it's also like you can still take that character and be like, okay, well maybe he does bad things, and then he learns under tutelage of like Ultra Magnus to kind of become part of that, rather than this overarching story with other stuff. So it's like that would have been kind of cool to kind of see team ups like that, and I think that may be something that we don't see. I don't collect a lot of comics. Certainly not modern day comics now, short of Transformers or not even like Jurassic Park related ones, because the art and the Jurassic Park ones are just flat out awful. And they pretty much always have been awful. Even from '93, they've been awful. But that said, that I think of like the trading cards from the early '90s, where you had like I forget they were called, but like not Marvel Masterpieces, but the other ones that had like the stats and the fire blast and mutant power and stuff like that, and list all the powers, and then they would have the characters individually, like Spider-Man and Mr. Fantastic and Professor X, and then toward the end,
the trading cards, yeah,
right, the trading cards, yeah, and then eventually, but they were called something like Fleer cards or something. I don't know.
Well, Flair was the company. Flair was the card company that made them.
Yeah,
the rivals to Upper Deck.
Marvel Masterworks.
Yeah,
I think.
Well, the masterpieces were the ones with like the art and stuff like that.
Like
I'm talking about like just the regular, the hollow foil stuff. I'm talking about just the regular ones that had like a pack of like 80. But toward the end, they would have these team ups. They would have like Captain America and Wolverine. Like that's kind of stuff that I don't think we see in comics anymore. And I get it. There's a ton of characters in Transformers. There's a ton of characters in Marvel too. So it would be cool to have kind of team ups like that for an issue or half an issue or something like that, because that's where you can start to develop more characters and give them more of a backstory. And I think
talk
that
about a Marvel team up. Don't talk about X-Men, Avengers, Transformers team up, because we all saw how that worked out, didn't we?
Unfortunately.
Yeah.
Or no, we didn't. No, that didn't happen. I don't know what you're talking about.
Avengers,
Nope.
Avengers, Transformers crossover.
Nope,
Good,
never happened.
Godly, ugly, great spaghetti space guy.
Nope.
What?
Nope, never happened. Never happened.
He doesn't want to remember it. He is forced it from his memory,
Never
folks,
gonna
because
get
that
it.
was
Never
how
gonna
bad it
get
was.
it. Never gonna get it. Never gonna get it.
It was so bad, his mind simply rejected that reality. The reality that it exists doesn't exist.
My mind
anymore.
rejected it so bad that I time traveled back to the 90s to seeing In Vogue just now. That's how bad it rejected.
Well, I think that's going to be it for tonight. What?
Yeah, real quick, Haida says, he can almost laud IDW with character Starsaber, but, he won't. He still hates it. I will say this for it, though. They took a lot of risks with a lot of characters, and they did get backlash for that. And but it sold comics because people were curious, because that's kind of what comics are about, right? They got to be controversial in a way, and that tends to sell comics if it's like, okay, well, you should have seen what they did with Starsaber. Something like that is probably not good because that wasn't the character they introduced, and he was just terrible right off the bat. But if it's somebody who's over time, like let's say Jazz or whatnot, over time they show his character and they add some more backstory, that's kind of where showing those kind of perspectives of like, that's what generates not a water cooler talk, but that's what generates that playground talk, right?
Well,
like,
and that's
you should see what happened to Jazz, right?
Well, that's what disappointed me with Starsaber, right? Is like, when they introduced Metal Hawk, he had his own group. He was just Metal Hawk was a badass. He looked like shit. Okay, the way they drew him was terrible, but he looked awesome, and he lived up, to Metal Hawk, right? He lived up to what that character was, essentially, just a badass who cared about his people, right? And they introduced him, and that was great. And then I loved what they did with Ultra Magnus, with him just being like this mech, this dude in a mech. I love that idea. Not only does it harken back to the Diaclone idea, but it harkens back to the G1 toy. It harkens back to, it's just this great homage to the history of the character just right there. And it was a completely different Ultra Magnus than what we've seen before, and I was totally okay with it. The thing that bugged me the most about Starsaber is there was no character development for him. He was just there, and they said, this is what he is. And I was like, that's kind of pushing it. That's a bit dumb, but let's see where this goes. And then like 4 issues later, he's split in half by a sword. Bullshit. I can't co-sign with that. Because at that point, every character was allowed breathing room, allowed an evolution, so to speak, allowed to transform, shall we, into their own character, into their own right. A lot of these characters start off as their G1 counterparts, Optimus Prime and Prowl and Jazz and all this stuff, but by the end of it, Jazz murders a person, an actual human. Optimus Prime is starting to question his leadership capabilities. All these characters are allowed to grow, and Starsaber is just there for a blink of an eye. And it's just one of those, he is arguably one of the most popular characters in Transformers history and lore. Even if it's from one side of the world, that side of the world speaks almost arguably the loudest as far as the Transformers fandom, right? Japan does.
Right.
And here he is in IDW, and he's relegated to 6 issues to be Cyclonus's one-off enemy, and Cyclonus wins with no fight. I mean, no fight put into it. Just no thought, no fight. It was just bad, just all around bad. So that's my soapbox.
Crimson agrees.
Yep. That's the raptor pondering. That's what that is right there.
Yep. So once So once again, gentlemen, I think I'm going to end the show. I want to thank everybody who joined us in chat. And before we go, one more time, fellas, if you could tell everybody where they can find you. Go ahead, Crimson.
You can find me at Crimson Raptors. That's Crimson like the color, Raptors, Raptors on YouTube, on Instagram, on Twitter, maybe. If you're lucky, I'm on Twitter. But that's where you can find me.
Nice.
And you guys can find me over on the Input channel. That's N-PUT, just like it says right here on the screen. You guys can find me on Twitter, which is hardly ever used, just like Crimson, like the color. And you guys can find me over on Instagram, over at Ernest P. Whirl. And I think that name is about to change to match my YouTube screen name, Input N-PUT. And don't forget about the podcast every Saturday night over on the Input channel. That's N-PUT every Saturday night from 7 to 9 p.m. Central Standard Time. And it's called Tales from Teletran. Ninja Bill, where can they find you?
Oh, they can find me right here on YouTube as NinjaBill 1000. You can find me on Discord at NinjaBill. You can find me on Facebook at Shinobi Biru and Twitter at NinjaBill01. And once again, I will end the show here. Thank you, everyone who has joined us in the chat. Thank you very much for sticking around. Thank you very much for giving us a listen, watching, listening to our antics and our discussions, and really appreciate it. And I want to also say that on the 21st, next Sunday, I am going to be doing a channel giveaway where I will give away a prize to one fortunate individual or unfortunate individual, depending on your take on what you will get. So to do that, you must be subscribed to my channel. You must comment on my last NinjaBill live show, not NinjaBill and Friends, NinjaBill live show. You must leave a comment on there because I'm using this program to, pick out people that comment on that video. And whoever that program picks out will win this prize. Once again, that is on the 21st of June. You must be in the live chat so you can hear your name announced, and know you're getting a prize. And no, I will not be revealing what that prize is. It'll be just a surprise to you as it will be to everybody else when you tell them what I sent you. So, once again, thank you for joining me. I want to thank Crimson Raptors Input, Triple R, Soulmas 44 for joining me tonight, and really appreciate it. And love all you guys. Stay safe, stay healthy, and be good to each other. And Input, why don't you lead out the show, close the show?
Well, just like Ninja Bill said, stay kind to each other. Just be wonderful people, man. When you're